Every gardener wants to grow sweet corn. In today's episode, we will look at how easy it is to grow sweet corn in containers. Although we will cover sweet corn in today's video, there are several different types of corn. Field corn is generally used in its dried form to make a lot of industrial products. Sweet corn is a variety with soft and tender kernels and the ones that we love to eat. And the final variety of corn is called specialty corn. And I will be covering specialty corn in a future episode. So for our containers, we will be growing this variety of corn which is organic called Golden Bantam. Corn can be either sowed in a seed starting mix in individual pots, and once the seeds are sowed, they usually germinate in about 10 days or so. And you can also sow the corn seeds directly in the container and they will germinate as well. I recommend using a container 5 gallons or larger. So let's look at what kind of pests you need to deal with when you're growing corn. So the most common type of pests that attack corn are the corn earworm and the corn borer. Now you can see some damage that's caused by some of the bad insects that attack the corn plant, and you need to take some action. So for most of the corn pests, it's pretty easy. You can use neem oil very effectively to kill almost all types of insects that attack corn. So what you basically do is mix the required quantity of neem oil in a gallon tank sprayer and mix it with water. And once that is done, you just use this mix to spray your corn plants. Now if you want a detailed video on how to do this, please check out the video on your screen and you should be able to see this process in a lot more detail. To avoid any harm to beneficial insects like bees, it is recommended that you use neem oil spray late in the evening when the beneficial insects are not active. So corn plant produces these lush green leaves, really thick stems, and a lot of foliage. And that usually means that for such plants like corn, you need to supply a very high nitrogen fertilizer all through the growing season. So what does this mean when growing corn? Well, it means two things. First, you need to have a lot of rich organic matter like manure or compost, worm castings, and this will help boost the level of nitrogen naturally in the soil. And the next thing that you should know is that the plant needs a high nitrogen fertilizer all through the growing season. Now some of you have asked me, what does a high nitrogen fertilizer mean? Well, you can check out the video description for some links to some commonly available fertilizers that are high in nitrogen, and these are some of those examples. So the first option is to use something like blood meal, which is very high in nitrogen, and the other option is to use fish emulsion, which is also very high in nitrogen. Now if you do not like using animal products, you can use an all-purpose fertilizer specifically designed for vegetables and other crops, and this is not only high in nitrogen, it also supplies the other ingredients like phosphorus and potassium. So most corn plants are wind pollinated, and sometimes it might be tempting to look at the corn growing so big and then go ahead and harvest the cobs out of the corn plant. However, note that after the corn has formed, it does take some time for all the corn kernels inside or the corn seeds inside to form before they're ready to harvest. Now, the corn plant has these male flowers that you can see on the top, and then the female flowers or the female part of the corn plant are just above the corn, the silks right here. So what you need to do is just gently feel the silk part of the corn, and once this turns a little dark and dry, that's really the time when you can start harvesting your corn. So here you can see that the corn silk is pretty dry, and by feeling around the corn I was able to conclude that this corn was ready for harvest. So let's open up this corn and see how well this corn plant has formed the kernels inside. So here you can see that the kernels are very well formed. You might have some spaces where the corn kernels are missing, but as long as you have most of the kernels intact, you can conclude that you've had a good harvest. So as you can see here, this is a very good looking corn, and once you harvest such corn, you'll be happy that your hard work has paid off. And you can harvest a lot of corn from just a few corn plants. So in this whiskey barrel container, I'm growing about 3 or 4 corn plants, and each of them will send out a lot of shoots around them, producing a lot of corn. So the corn plant is always grown as an annual, which means that it will grow for one season and then die. So this is our whiskey barrel container, and you can see how dense the root system is for this corn plant. So about 3 or 4 corn plants sending out this massive root system all throughout the container. And this is the reason why I like growing corn in large containers like whiskey barrels, because they really need all that room in the container to send out these roots, which in turn will give you very nice corn. So this is how I like to eat my corn. Now I'm cooking my corn directly on a gas cooktop. However, if you have a charcoal grill or a barbecue grill, you can easily cook corn on charcoal and it tastes even better. So what I do is I just roast the corn directly on the stove, and it takes about 5 minutes or so for the corn to get cooked this way. And after it's roasted, what I do is I just take some salt and some lime or lemon, and then just take a pinch of salt and then rub over the corn all around it, and this really gives a very nice punch to the flavor of corn. And I always like to eat my corn this way, and if you do not like the lemon and salt, you can just eat the roasted corn and it tastes just as good. So which type of corn do you like to grow? Do you like to grow corn that's very sweet, or do you like to grow corn that's not as sweet? Do let me know, share your opinions, and I'll see you again soon. Happy gardening.